Hello fellow Ugandans, hot mamas, pimp daddies, and the people rolling up in caddies. I've been covering Chris Chan intermittently over the last few years out of morbid fascination, as many people have. From his origins as a Sonichu comic artist to his arrest and everything that's happened after, it's all very fascinating. But recently, a true crime channel called Explore With Us managed to obtain footage of his arrest, prompting a number of reactions from across the internet.
By the way, if any of y'all has been feeling a punch-like sensation on your leg, that is my husband, Magic Chan Sonichu, right on the opposite side of the universe field. He's punching you all each, just a gentle punch, but you know he is here.
Okay.
If you feel it, he punched you first.
Yeah, so I didn't, but you know.
Much more, hubby.
But I feel like a lot of these reactions are missing a lot of context and background information that honestly make the thing way darker, but also way funnier. So today, I'm going to go through the archives to contextualize all of it. For the completely unfamiliar, Chris Chan is an autistic person who the internet has been following and documenting for over a decade, to the point that he is regarded as one of the most documented people of all time. The fascination with Chris comes from his original character, called Sonichu, which, yeah, if you're wondering, is a combination of Sonic and Pikachu. Initially, this manifested as just cringy comic books being posted online, which many would make fun of. The comics often reflected Chris's real life, with his hatred of the police manifesting as the jerk-op characters. But things took a darker turn as Chris's mental health declined and got really bad. This decline led to delusional beliefs, including that there is a realm where all of his original characters, as well as a whole host of fictional characters like Spider-Man, Batman, and Darkwing Duck actually exist. According to Chris, someday this will culminate in the Dimensional Merge, an event in which all of these characters are going to come into our world through some kind of portal, and we're all going to be in their presence. Chris believes himself to be a goddess, likening himself to Jesus, and believing that he will be the beloved ruler of this new world. Now that stuff is obviously crazy and delusional, and Chris definitely needs mental help, but it's the other opinions Chris has shared where things start to get very dark. For years, there were a lot of indicators of Chris's, shall we say, unorthodox view of relationships. Back in 2010, in a voice call between some trolls, Chris made some very strange comments.
So Chris, being Chris, telling the truth all the time, he's admitted that him and his mother spoon on his bed frequently. Chris has also said that he has had a dream about Barb. And in this dream, Barb is an Egyptian belly dancer.
That's more than enough.
He once upon a time, like the first call, before he told us about the belly dance, or whenever we wanted him to recite this again for prosperity moment, he said that he dreamed about sex with his mother and nutted the bed.
This in and of itself is definitely a red flag, to say the least, but 6 years later, Chris took to Facebook to give his thoughts on an article about a mother and son relationship, saying, "Who among everyone in the world has not had a dream of being with one of their parents? Never acting on them ever, I, myself, did have dreams of being with my mother. Although it is quite a controversial topic, there are circumstances where there would be not so much harm as one may think, feel, or believe. Plus, this offers a chance for better teaching the child how to better satisfy their eventual partners." And these are by no means the only instances of Chris expressing this. In a tweet of his from 2019, which he posted while role-playing as one of his OCs called Magic Chan, he said, "Admittedly, a waifu I had long ago, while they were still developing before Christine came around, were Robert and Barbara. Barbara was more of a guilty pleasure waifu, while Robert was quite a successful model, amongst others in Dimension 1218. However delusion-fueled this may be, and as hard to take it seriously as it is, this is still clearly an indicator of Chris's headspace, literally fantasizing about having relations with his own mother." Despite the large amount of negative reactions to all this stuff, Chris unfortunately couldn't help himself but discuss his thoughts and activities in private. At one point after this, he exchanged a few DMs with a troll of his, which read as follows: "I'm actually feeling really good right now. I hit the hay around the 10 o'clock hour last night. I had an extensive and lucidly clear dream, and I didn't wake up until about 4:30. I know why I'm getting much better quality sleep. It's been so for the past week. I have a sex partner. She's been very satisfactory, but her identity needs to remain a strict secret, and this is a mutual, genuine affection. I'm finally getting the long overdue experience, and she's helping me explore. Since we started the ship progress with the first intercourse last Sunday, we're mainly still exploring the options and teaching each other up to when we find what works best. She is physically older than I am, considerably fragile, but she has great inner strength and soul power." When asked about how old this partner is, Chris replies that he can't be too specific about this mysterious lady friend, but that she is physically physically older. A day later, he also talks about having gotten massage oil, which he'd be trying out with this unknown woman. On the 10th, he talks about getting a sex toy from Adam and Eve, a company that sponsored a lot of YouTubers that you guys probably know of, and he's talking about using this thing to have some serious fun with this new partner. Eventually, this conversation would come back around when Chris decided to share a few details about who this person was, at which point, obviously, you know, this troll started suspecting something was going on. He stated she was over 50, gray-haired, blue-eyed, and shorter than he was. You can tell in the messages he's already suspecting that this is his mother, especially after Chris confirmed that this partner, this mysterious lady friend, was in her 70s. In the messages, he says, "Damn, so close to your mother's age." Now, obviously, the majority of people who commit such a heinous crime are at least wise enough to know that if it ever got out, it would be terrible for them. But this is Chris Chan, and keeping that to himself was obviously a big burden to bear. He eventually sent a screenshot to one of his trolls of a Watch Mojo video called Top 10 Hottest Anime Moms Ever. It was already clear that something strange was going on, to say the least. But the internet would be truly shocked once Chris seemingly confessed to these crimes on video.
Sir, you are under arrest.
On July 29th, 2021, a YouTube video containing audio from a conversation with Chris was posted to the Chris Chan subreddit, in which he admitted to having incestuous sex on multiple occasions with his 79-year-old mother. Now, obviously, this is disgusting in and of itself. I don't really think we need the law to tell us if it's wrong or not, but it is worth noting here that this act between mother and child in Chris's home state of Virginia is a Class 5 felony and punishable by up to a maximum of 10 years in prison. And for a little bit more information, it's only made worse when you take into account that Barbara Chandler suffers from dementia. There's a very real possibility that she didn't even know what was going on when it happened, didn't remember it after the fact, didn't know that it was Chris. I mean, there's so many possibilities there that make it even worse somehow. In the audio, this is something that Chris openly acknowledges and confirms in plain English in several instances. He even details how his mother resisted his advances at some points. This would possibly escalate the crime to elder abuse and rape. According to Chris, the two engaged in these activities every third night starting from the 27th of June, which would imply, based on the time the audio was released, that it occurred over 10 times. This audio and then some screenshot messages of Chris talking about it were then posted to Kiwi Farms the following day and reposted by the site's owner, Null, who stated that he considers these texts to be genuine and nobody knew of this one person except someone named Bella, which is a troll sona of someone named 10th Anonymous who Chris confided this information in. Now, Bella, or Isabella Janke, is an entire other rabbit hole that you guys can get into if you want. I made a video about it on my main channel that goes over all of it, but essentially Isabella Janke was a degenerate troll who was trying to convince Chris to end himself, to end his own life, and was also encouraging this kind of behavior from Chris. The female voice you hear in that call with Chris is Isabella. Following the spread of this information, local authorities got a ton of tips regarding Chris, and as a result, he was served an emergency protective order, and he was eventually arrested on August 1st of 2021. At the time, he was holed up at a Regency Inn in Henrico, Virginia. Officers got a warrant for his arrest, and they made their way to the premises. And now that we have the footage from Explore With Us, we can see exactly what happened. As with any arrest, they approached the situation with caution, ready for some kind of altercation. They didn't know if Chris was going to be violent or something like that, but they were surprisingly greeted with a very friendly figure at the door.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Christine Chandler.
Okay, can you come out for a second?
What's the situation?
What's that? You got a warrant for your arrest, all right? Yep. Yep.
Okay.
You're not gonna start. You're not gonna do that. Do not fight. You will get tased.
Okay, well, I identify as female, and I would appreciate if I was respected as such. It even says so on my driver's license, female.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Just making sure.
Chris quickly complies with the officers, being surprisingly friendly given what's happening. And he even openly acknowledges that he knew he was going to be arrested and he knew why. But over the course of the next few minutes, he begins explaining his thoughts on the Sonichu extended universe. Chris genuinely believes that there are entire entities from beyond the veil in the room with them and the officers right now who are actually attacking the officers to let them know of their presence.
Is there anyone else in the room with you? Is
Uh,
there anybody else in the room?
Spirit, well, interdimensionally, you
No.
can't tangibly see
A
them.
physical person. Is there a physical person in the room with you?
Originating from this universe, no.
Okay, good.
By the way, if any of y'all has been feeling a punch-like sensation on your leg, that is my husband, Magic Chan Sonichu, right on the opposite side of the universe field. He's punching you all each, just a gentle punch, but
Okay.
you know he is here.
Okay. Hi,
Did you feel it? He punched you first.
Yeah, so I didn't, but,
Punch him harder, hubby.
The fact that Chris believes this in the first place is a very disturbing peer into his mental state at the time of the arrest, and it would later be further confirmed once he was in jail and began writing letters to the outside, which we'll get into in a bit. At one point, the officers actually inform Chris that he'll need to remove his various amulets and jewelry once he goes to jail, because he's got this this whole collection of different swag on him. But they do say he'll be able to keep whatever he wants if it, lines up with any commonly known religion, like Christianity or Judaism, something that people actually believe in outside of one mentally ill person. Chris insists, however, that he must not remove his Sonichu medallion. It must stay.
So do you want to take your necklaces off and stuff like that, or?
You're gonna take them off when you get.
Yeah, you gotta take them off when you get to the jail.
Okay, but
Since the only thing they will allow are like crosses for like religion.
Okay, well, if I may speak, the Sonichu shaped medallion, the big yellow thing at the bottom there, that is my cross. So.
Okay, I don't know if they'll allow that one.
Yeah.
It protects me greatly. So that I am willing to take off the other two, but I really need the medallion.
Okay. Well, I'm just letting you know that when you get down to the jail, if you go to jail, once the warrants are confirmed, that you may not be able to keep it. Okay? Just letting you know.
All right, but that is my cross.
Okay.
Let that go on the record. The Sonichu medallion.
Yeah, Officer Christian will tell him.
I don't want to linger here for too long, but there are a few really funny moments that occur between Chris and the cops. For example, he references a Kevin Gates song.
Yeah, I got a cell phone right here.
Oh, that's my secondary phone.
That's your secondary phone?
Yeah, I have two phones, one for the trolls and one for my home. I got two phones, one for the boys and one for my friends. You think I need two phones? There's a song.
Yeah, Kevin Gates.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to this music guy.
Nah, that's a popular one. He's a fine gentleman.
There's also a moment when Chris, seemingly out of nervousness, farts and then apologizes for the inconvenience to the officers.
I need a moment.
Okay.
Pardon my flatulence.
But there are other factors here that also lead to this being a very unorthodox encounter for the officers. Prior to the release of this footage from Iwu, the only footage of this arrest was from Ethan Ralph. He managed to document the entire thing from the parking lot. In the arrest footage, Ralph's presence was clearly putting the officers kind of off, as they're not used to live streamers showing up to document things and yell at them when they're trying to arrest someone.
Are you waiting for somebody to come to your room or something?
You go out.
You want to go up there? No, because I can't tell if they're just recording or... I wish I could read the tag. I'll just stare back at them. I kind of want to have you go up there and see what they're doing. Like, it's really just not as a fourth person. I mean, I want to go address them, but at the same time, they can kind of do that, but they're not obstructing at this point.
I'm listening to you.
And you could already hear this in Ralph's footage initially, but now it's much clearer here from the Iwu footage that as soon as Chris is removed from the room and they're taking him downstairs, we can now audibly hear Chris addressing Ralph and the other onlookers as trolls.
You don't know any of these people?
I do not know those people.
Okay.
Yeah, those are trolls. They're following me from the internet. Do not report this. Christian, what's up? See?
Don't.
Followers.
I think it's real. Oh my God, what is this?
This is going to be trending on the internet.
Christian, what's up? Kill stream, baby. When you get out, let's do the kill stream. Look me up.
Chris is then guided down to the cop cars, where he once again laments about his place in the universe and how he's a goddess and whatever.
I wasn't convinced that there's no internet fans, but that confirms it.
There you go. I mean, Google Chris Chan or Sonichu, and there you go. I've been infamous and famous.
Oh, look at that. Coming out of the woodwork.
Good, I just saw you. Where'd you see him at? Regency.
I'm going.
the mall?
I'm complying. I am complying. I am good like this. And I am Chris Chan Sonichu, your goddess blue heart, and I continue to stand strong, and I maintain everything with quick fill and my Sonichus and Rose shoes and everybody.
You're watching about 3,000 people right now.
From there, Chris is driven to jail. But on the way, he can't help but share his astute scientific findings about the world with the officer that's taking him there.
You may recognize or know my comic books I have drawn over the years and my chronicling and creations and discoveries of the Sonichu and Rosechu Pokemon species.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, well, give you a little bit of homework for research on your own time, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But essentially, I am a decent and good individual.
There's no doubt that Chris is popular online, and many know him, but Chris's delusion about the level of fame, or infamy rather, is very interesting to hear. Chris is delusional to the point that he believes regular beat cops from Virginia who are just like trying to do their job and aren't, online people, would know who he is, and even beyond that they would have read his various comic books and potentially been a fan of his work. Chris sees himself as a celebrity, and not only a celebrity, a biblical figure whom all should recognize.
And I am literally a goddess, and that will be proven in the near days to come, as we are on the completion of the dimension merge, where the universe half that was divided in 1380s by order of King Arthur. He ordered Merlin and 2 other magicians to remove and banish all dragons, unicorns, and other quote-unquote mythical creatures and overpowered individuals. And thus we were separated, transported into from what was originally called Universe 1C211987.
Now, the dimensional merge, as I talked about earlier, had been a topic of discussion for Chris for quite some time. He had announced that it was coming on his YouTube channel.
The dimensional merge. Yes, this dimension right here, 1218. It's going to be merged with our sister dimension, C197, where most of our superheroes, supervillains, OCs, and what have you, and other characters have been existing and coexisting. Yep. Everybody who survives this will get to meet their favorite superheroes among others and everything. But yes, those are going to survive and those are not going to survive. But fortunately should be most of the Earth population, and those that I do care about are going to survive. But among which that won't survive is going to be some of the politicians. But aside from that, the decision is definitely supported by me, but also going to be made in part by your goddess of this earth. Yep. Parent of Jesus is a woman. Okay? Yep. Just get that mind blower out of the way.
Now, when it didn't happen when Chris said it would happen, he came up with a new explanation as to how it's being delayed by an interdimensional war between good guys and bad guys, his words not mine, from every fictional universe. Batman and Sonic the Hedgehog fighting Eggman and the Joker in this other universe is delaying the merge, okay? Just get it right. This is happening. This is real. But it appears things would really speed up in Chris's mind with the arrest looming, and as it happened, Chris stated that the merge was truly upon us, as he explained to the officer.
Everybody there. You have Superman, you have Mickey Mouse, you have Iron Man, you have Darkwing Duck, you have, the Infinite Possibilities. You even have Ratchet and Clank, you have the Super Mario Brothers, and you have Sonic, you have Link, you have everybody, you name it, they're there. And of course, especially Sonic and Roshu's and all of the other Pokemon known and yet to be known in all of existence.
So you're saying Pokemon's are going to come back to this, where we're at right now?
Yes, and among others, like I said, if Batman or... Actually, let me ask you, who is your favorite superhero?
I'd probably go with Spider-Man.
He's going to come around. You're going to meet him.
All right, I can't wait.
I mean, if you're ever in New York, he's going to be swinging around there.
Why New York? Why only New York? Why can't he go wherever he wants?
Well, I mean, yeah, he can't go because he's a Spider-Man. He does whatever a spider can. But also, I am particularly fond of and have great appreciation for the mentally capable and the psychic powered type of individuals. I have great respect for them, especially the good ones.
As the ride nears its end, Chris drops one final bombshell that will surely leave the officer with a lasting impression.
Yeah, so I am married interdimensionally with my husband, Magic Chan Sonichu, and I am also married to my brain went blank on the word there, but anyway, I am also polygamously married to Brazil Roshu and Silvana Roshu, and the one and only Mewtwo, the one that was cloned by Giovanni's team in Team Rocket as featured in the first Pokemon movie.
Now, at the time of this body cam footage being taken, it was completely unreleased, and it wouldn't come to light until August of 2024. For the time being, the flow of Chris Chan related info coming from the source had been stemmed, as Chris was booked and was now in jail. But that doesn't mean that discussion around it and Chris Chan updates in general halted. Instead, the Chris Chan story got the most publicity it's ever gotten. Chances are a lot of your 50-year-old Fox News dads were hearing about Chris Chan for the first time.
A YouTube personality called Chris Chan has just been arrested in Virginia on, of all things, incest charges. Authorities say Chan was having sex with his 79-year-old mother who has dementia. Chris Chan is a biological man, but he identifies as a woman. Reportedly, Virginia authorities initially went along with that. They classified Chris Chan as a female, and that means Chris Chan, who is an accused sex criminal, would have been housed in a women's jail. We understand that decision has been reversed, likely due to public pressure. It became public, unfortunately, for the state of Virginia, and Chan is now being considered a man by the jail.
Put him in a cage!
Chris was eventually transferred to the Central Virginia Regional Jail, where he spent the next 20 months. The people cheered. Yes, Chris Chan's reign of terror is over. It is no more. We will never hear from Chris Chan again. But obviously others were like, no, not my favorite lolcow guy. I can't lie, a part of me definitely wanted to see more Chris Chan updates. At the time, given how he had confessed to what he did in an audio recording that was clear as day and kind of undeniable, I and a lot of other people figured he would definitely receive some kind of jail time. But while awaiting trial, we still got some shenanigans. Soon after his arrest, someone on 4chan claimed to have stolen the license plate off of Chris's car.
And my vehicle, in case it wasn't obvious, is the blue Dodge Caravan out there.
Yeah.
With license plate says Sanchu on it.
People in the thread celebrated, they clapped, hailing the Anon as a true hero. On the other side of the fence, on August 5th of 2021, we got Chris's first court appearance. Unfortunately, we don't have footage of this or a precise transcript, but we do know some details. The state prosecutor, Edwin Consalvo, asked that the judge keep Chris in jail without bond because he was concerned about the community's safety and the safety of Chris Chan, which is fair. I mean, he did confess to banging his own mom. And on top of that, when people find out someone did that and are angry at them, you never know if you'll get some wannabe vigilante who wants to carry out justice themselves outside the bounds of the law. Major shout out to the Killdozer. Now, at the time, Chris's lawyer was really trying his best here to deal with the situation and deal with Chris Chan, but it doesn't seem like he had a super fun time. In the middle of the hearing, Chris apparently shouted out, "I'm famous on the internet."
Off the internet!
At that point, his lawyer told him to shut up. So they swore in Chris, hand on the Bible type thing, and they asked Chris if he had some kind of plan to post bail. Instead, Chris just talked about how he wanted to go pick up all of his trash from the hotel room.
Do not fight, you will get tased.
Okay, well, listen, I will comply, but I'd like to clear up I'd like to come back with my things.
We'll get that all straight.
Yeah, we'll get it all straight.
And also, during the trial, the judge apparently referred to Chris as a he, which Chris corrected loudly multiple times to say, "You mean she," to which the judge responded by saying he wasn't actually referring to Chris as a he, and he was just reading from the law in which the defendant is referred to as a male. And ultimately, the judge decided Chris would continue to be held in jail until at least the preliminary trial, which was scheduled to be 1 month later. So Chris would stay in jail. If the dimensional merge was happening, it seemed Chris wouldn't even be able to experience it. Or maybe the Incredible Hulk would break into the jail to get his perfect goddess out, and the guards wouldn't be able to stop him, having been too distracted by Ben 10 spawning inside the courtyard. Truly, who knows? Hey everyone, I would very much appreciate paying off my jail debt and being able to purchase from the jail's commissary. I really need new socks, a bra, some extra panties, and a pair of leather sneakers, and other goods from this. So please, all of you, go online and donate to my inmate account right away. $5 or $10 per person, at least, towards an accumulated total of $100 would be very much appreciated. Thank you all. Be safe and well. Chris Chan Sonichu. On the outside, trolls began circling Chris's house like buzzards. In late August, someone went to his home where they posted pictures of the house, also showing that Chris's van was back in the driveway, although the license plate had been replaced, possibly because of the guy who claimed to have stolen it. It's at that point they made an interesting discovery. After we took our photos, we started to leave. As we did, someone opened the door. At first, I thought it was the neighbor that was taking care of the cats in the Chandler's absence, but it turned out to be Barb herself. I was so freaked out and I didn't know what to do. So I just said, "Hi, Barb," and she said hi back, and then we drove off. Truly a terrifying terrifying creepypasta encounter, barb.exe, is responding, and she is not happy. Later in September, Chris was still in jail, and we got another letter sent out to an anonymous individual. It's pretty long. Chris has a lot to say here, but there is a lot of crazy stuff that once again shows Chris's delusions had not been broken. First, and vitally, it should be made obvious and clear that aside from Andy Warhol, my life events at present and so far can directly be compared and matched with that which have been chronicled of none other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth himself in any Holy Bible. Also, feel free to take any unaltered original photograph of my body's face, neck, and shoulder and chest area where I was not wearing the glasses. Then alter the photo to show a naturally growing brown beard, mustache, and sideburns. Now, place that photo next to any image of Jesus on or off the cross. Compare. Look deep into my eyes and photograph. See for yourself. I meditate and connect directly and genuinely with the cosmos, both of our universe halves, and throughout the timelines, and entire multiverse. So despite some lack of physical evidence, I know the ultimate truths, facts, and details not commonly known or written, drawn, or chronicled. That being stated, all of my life, my mind, eyes, and literally held the constant perception of being the central camera number 000 out of all the other cameras, infinite, from the first perspective of all others. And this goes even deeper, and I encourage you to meditate deeply and see for yourself for all of the truths. You know, I did a lot of meditation, and unfortunately I didn't experience that. I did get visited by Smile Dog. I don't know if that's related to Chris. Maybe Chris can inform me on that, but I personally haven't seen Magichan, Sonichu, or any of that stuff. But hey, you know, I only meditated for 3 days straight, so a little more could potentially get some serious results. And the reason and truth behind my perception is direct and mind-blowingly simple. I am literally the real player one, the one avatar, and this body, eyes, mind, and all is the one God body, and I am literally also Jesus Christ himself, fully reincarnated and fully reawakened. Even the dimension merge, literally completed and concluding, the same for the collective shift. All of this is literally huge chunks of the past, present, and in progress events of my second coming, period. Not all details of the past chronicled scripture writings are accurate, and as a member of the Council of Gods and Goddesses with the strongest and direct of connections, I know details have changed some to a lot in regard to the scriptures of the past. 3 days on Earth equal 4 months, with 24-hour days and nights in the heaven realm. So yes, this is the one immortal body, and that was none other than I, off and on that cross over 2,000 years ago in my past life. Personally, each and every prayer and praise to Jesus, as of February 1982, at least have all been directed to this body and soul, Malachi. Then we get a little silly face there, I think that's what that is. Judgment Day is nearing. Know this well. Praise. Moving on, with all of that stated, your last letter. Next, why I had transferred that money on Saturday, July 31st. Josh had absolutely no right in relaying that detail publicly. Friday the 30th, forced out of my home in Temple, had nowhere else to go, had less than $50 between pocket money and only a couple of bucks or so in my bank account. No money in my PayPal, Patreon was not due for a payout until Sunday, and SSI was not coming. Hey Chris Chan, we got the SSI or what? Into my bank until Tuesday. Harriet and Tom Ashby cast me out before I even arrived to Midlothian. The van was not majorly uncomfortable. Josh had wired $1,000 to my bank that Friday, but it would not arrive until after or on Monday. Little food and options, and you try bumming in any parking lot without feeling insecure and paranoid. I needed safety and comfort as quickly as possible. That is why I transferred that money. I was going to pay back in full. Even had $150 from Patreon on Sunday the 1st that went straight to Barbie Chan's bank account. I would have paid the remaining $600 Monday or Tuesday, but Null had to fail his destined test and betrayed me, like I was betrayed and jailed with a kiss over 2,000 years ago. Judas reference, slam dunk, Chris knows his biblical knowledge. Now, and as of the past arrest, I have absolutely no way to fulfill that repentance, or anything else digital. Malachi 3:6-15. I repeat all that personally. Now, all of you had to over-drama and fail your worldwide test of faith upon me. Hey, I haven't given up. Listen, I still have faith in Chris Chan. I love Chris Chan. Chris Chan's my #1 GOAT. Never did anything wrong. Never could do anything wrong. Should be president, actually. Daniel Larson, step aside. Sigh. And finally, the all-important popular present FAQ. Why and what the hell? Emmanuel, God above all other gods and goddesses, and one of my mentors, herself, had deemed me to heal, cleanse, and clear Barbara of all of her past sins and regrets, and improve her abilities directly and personally as her goddess. We mainly cuddled, soul-bonded, and talked. Consentful and emotionally and mentally supportive and healing. I did as I had done for, and with a chosen few back in Israel over 2,000 years ago. Over 2,000 years ago in cleansing them. More more details from the Bibles that had been overlooked and left out. We gods had eased up on the views of adultery. Why else do you have all pro-gay and pro-lesbian, pro-trans, and all today in the past decades? Everyone involved were all being genuinely, deeply happy, content, and spiritually satisfied with themselves and each other. As long as all are over the age of consent, and the activity was consensual by all parties involved, and genuinely spiritually happy, it is good. Here he seems to be justifying what happened with Barbara. That's kind of my read on this. If you're not picking it up, he's like, look, you know, if they're all over, if they're all over the age of consent and they're spiritually happy, it's good. You know, it's awesome. It's fire. It was good. I have written further insights and details and already shared them with David Heilberg. David is his lawyer, by the way, as I mentioned. And I get out on second coming or sooner by uninterrupted co-divine intervention. All of your demons and curses are no more and unrevivable. Judgment Day. Praise us gods, Chris Chan Sonichu, the goddess Blue Heart, and your lord. With Chris actively comparing himself to Jesus, people began pondering and investigating. Could it be? Could Christine Weston Chandler, our beloved source of entertainment over the past 10 years, actually be Jesus himself? After some very talented artists put together some comparisons, I think it's clear just how onto something Chris really was. Letters of this nature continued for quite a while, actually. In one of them, Chris said he ordered a Quran from the jail commissary, so I guess he's taking a bit of a sneako arc there. And the next, he asked for a pardon from President Joe Biden. Now, given how famous Chris is, there's just no doubt that Joe received this message. I mean, how could he not? He's been reading the comics for years. However, whether he was able to fit it into his busy schedule of forgetting where he is and eating ice cream, I cannot say, because it seems Chris was ultimately not pardoned by Joe Biden.
My name is Joe Biden. I love ice cream.
He also went on to comment on the quality of his jail experience, rating it a 2 out of 5 because while the food was good and the store had some serious swag and the rec room was also fun, the jerk ops had a bad attitude, in his words. I like to imagine the jail lineup was like a bunch of cartel dudes, maybe a rapper or two for good measure, maybe a couple of finance guys who watched The Wolf of Wall Street too many times, and then you just have Chris there, like Chris Chan. Chris Chan is there. Talk about based. Chris also began making phone calls to the outside, where we got some more serious intellectual musings, which I think you all need to hear and really ponder and meditate on.
If you read the Bible, where in my past life, my mom was married, and Joseph and I, we quickly, swiftly moved from Israel to Egypt because they were like these guys hunting all over the place for me. And then years later, when the angels told us that it was safe to return, then we moved back. Yeah, history repeats. I mean, yeah, you think the events throughout my life compared with what was recorded and chronicled with the scriptures of the Bible, yeah, you got a lot of similarities with history repeats like that one I just gave you.
Then a bit later, we get another letter where Chris makes a compelling refute to the allegations regarding his mother, referring to what happened as simple soul bonding. Now, due to issues around if Chris was actually competent to stand trial, it kept getting a continuance where they would just push it off, basically. Around the same time, he turned 40 years old. He was actually transferred from jail to Western State Hospital in Virginia, presumably to determine his mental competency and if he was able to stand trial for what he had done. But ultimately, he ended up getting sent back to jail eventually, which is when we get more interesting developments from the trial. Now, I think it's already been made pretty clear that Chris has a lot of people following him every day to stay up to date with what's going on. People are even willing to steal his license plate, or at least claim that they stole it, if that's somehow not real. They'll go to his house to take pictures of it, and obviously, I mean, here I am making a video about him, so there's like a lot of people following his activity, right? Chris refers to these people, as well as anyone who's really invested in his story, but has like a negative opinion of him, as trolls. Whatever you want to call them, it appears the legal system became very frustrated with the presence of these online posters. And we know this because of developments from the trial. Chris's case was sent to a grand jury. Essentially, a grand jury is a hearing where the prosecutor presents evidence to the court in order to determine whether there's probable cause to believe the defendant committed a crime and should be put on trial. And it's around the time of this grand jury that we get a really interesting development. In August, his lawyer filed for an autism disorder deferred disposition for Chris's charge. This essentially means that his lawyer wanted the charges to be dismissed after a certain period of time if Chris met certain conditions. Things like probation, community service, rehab programs, stuff like that. And basically, if he were to like fulfill that and have good behavior and not relapse on his crime, then he would be let off. But on the 10th of August, Chris's case is sealed. sealed, and his lawyer, David Heilberg, explains why. He says, the reason that the case was sealed was because there was so much intense legitimate and illegitimate external interest about Miss Chandler. Greene County is a small, rural place. In a unique situation like this, there is case authority attached to keep all pretrial matters sealed so that it will later be possible to select a local jury for a fair trial if and when this is needed. The application of the de Pascal remedy to prevent prejudicial pretrial publicity is probably the only story you can tell. This relief is rarely sought and allowed. However, the unique intense interest in the case, including inaccurate online disinformation, required this infrequently used remedy. In our current age of unregulated online disinformation about almost anything and everyone, this remedy might be needed now more than ever. To put it bluntly, his lawyer was mad at the trolls. Maybe they thought sealing the case would get people to just stop talking about it, but yeah, that didn't really work out. Later that same month, after a judge ordered a transportation order for Chris to be moved, memes about him escaping began flooding every website known to man. Try as you may, the trolls find a way.
Release the Kraken.
Around 10 o'clock a.m. on the 27th of March 2023, to the shock and overall disappointment and anger of a lot of people, Chris Chan was reported to be out of custody. And a few hours later, the report was revised to say he'd simply been released from police custody, so he's out of jail. He was free at last. Our goddess, our one pure blue heart goddess, clean, honest, good individual, was free, was out on the streets, was able to be one with the dimensional merge. The internet erupted, as expected, many in disbelief that despite what he did to Barb and had, confessed to doing, he was out. But to a lesser extent, people questioned the issues of debt and potential embezzlement and how they weren't enough to keep him at the very least, institutionalized. I think whatever you think of this case, whether Chris is proven guilty or not, or if somehow you don't believe that Chris did what he did with his mother, I think it's very clear that Chris should not be out on the streets. They are danger to themselves and others in many cases, and I think Chris should be, at the very least, in some kind of mental institution. I'm willing to accept that maybe, Supermax lockup is not a good idea, but Chris should definitely be held somewhere where someone's monitoring him constantly and is not, allowing him to go about his shenanigans, because this could very easily happen again. Ultimately, his lawyer succeeded, as Chris was never proven guilty in a court of law. He was just placed in a deferred disposition program that allowed him to basically be on probation due to his disability. And since then, Chris has been out and very active online. He still posts actively to his Twitter account about his passions like Rick and Morty. He valiantly calls out big business like Mojang for not having their Realm service up and running on the Nintendo Switch version of Minecraft, and whatever else is on his mind. Over on YouTube, he's still actively posting to this day about everything from the Sonichu Temple, which is his house, to playing Minecraft on livestream, and also his newfound fascination with AI technology. He's also taken up Duolingo to challenge himself to learn new languages and experience new cultures. And in August of 2024, he celebrated 100,000 subscribers and tweeted at YouTube asking for his plaque. But obviously, this doesn't mean that everyone just forgot the whole jail saga and the reason why he went there. If you want to see more Chris Chan content, I recommend checking out the Turkey Tom channel, where there's a lot of other videos about it. A lot of the information from this was pulled directly from those just to contextualize everything, and I go a lot more in depth in those videos. So if you want that, check them out. We'll link them below. Bye.